Blue Lock is a new-gen sports anime that's quickly made a name for itself as not being your granddad's sports anime. It's a high-adrenaline, action-packed series that throws away the typical themes of friendship and camaraderie in favor of greed and egoism. As a fanbase continues to grow, fans are left wondering, when is Blue Lock going to get a video game? I'm here to theorize what a home console Blue Lock game would look, feel, and play like. So, let's get started. Most anime start off with a 3D arena fighter, but luckily we're dealing with an anime about football, so we can't really do that. Not many sports anime get home console games, especially football anime. There's Captain Tsubasa, and that's it. So there's not much inspiration to look at least in terms of anime games. There are, however, plenty of football games out there. So I think the first thing to ask is, how is the game going to play? It should be, without a doubt, a real-time football game. You control one player at a time, but can manually switch between which player on your team you're controlling whenever you so please. So from there, I can see the game going down one of two paths, either realistic like FIFA, or cartoony like Mario Strikers. I say the game takes a little from both. The base gameplay will be realistic like FIFA, but there will be a number of Blue Lock elements that bring in that more over-the-top side from Mario Strikers. So with that, let's segue into this game's unique systems. Within Blue Lock, each player has their own unique weapon or weapons in some cases. These are abilities that can range from natural physical abilities like Kaiser's Kaiser Impact to abilities that characters have discovered and learned like Isagi's Metavision. In the Blue Lock game, each playable character would have their weapon translated in-game. Now since these abilities are so unique to each character, depending on what their ability is, it can provide different effects. To make sure that there's a way to cover each ability, there will be 3 possible outlets for a character's weapon. In-game, every character will have a powerful shot button like in Mario Strikers. In order to use this skill, you have to use part of your ego meter. The ego meter will be used for all weapons and special shots and will fill naturally over time, but can fill up quicker when in possession of the ball. The special shots will either be a generic stronger shot for the characters whose weapons don't involve shooting, such as Nico, or will be a character's weapon, like Isagi's direct shot. Now some characters have weapons that aren't a shot, like Ryo's Chameleon, so to include those weapons as well, there'll be a dedicated weapon button. Now not all characters will be able to make use of this move, but some characters can, like Isagi's Metavision. Using the weapon button requires ego meter. Finally, some characters' weapons are purely physical based, like Chigiri's speed or Kunigami's physique, so these weapons will simply be reflected in the character's stats. Speaking of stats, the stats will be the same ones that are used in the manga itself. The differences between top tier players won't be that large in order to keep things even. Now that we covered how weapons work, I'll give a couple of example weapons so you can get an idea of how they function. For Isagi, his special shot will be his direct shot, and his Metavision will be activated by the weapon button. While holding down this button, you can see the paths that each of the NPC players on the other team will take, essentially knowing where they're going to move. However, while activated, this ability drains ego meter incredibly fast. Now that we've covered gameplay mechanics, let's talk about what you can actually do in this game, starting with story mode. The story mode will follow the story of the anime and manga, leading up to the Neo-Egoist League, which is the current arc in the manga. However, instead of playing as actual characters from the show, you'll be able to create your own character, thus being able to change the outcomes of events and have them differ from the show, such as with the second selection, as you would be in charge of choosing your team and which characters you would poach from other teams. In terms of the character creator itself, it would be very extensive. You'd have full control of your character's appearance and physical build. Your character's stats would function very similarly to an RPG, using a point system that you can spend on specific components. You start off with a set number of points and can spend them however you please in 6 different categories: offense, speed, defense, pass, dribble, and shoot. There will also be a leveling system, and leveling up will grant you additional stat points. In addition to stats, you can also choose your own weapon. From the beginning, you'll be able to choose from a standard list of weapons, and as you progress through the campaign, you can unlock new weapons and equip them to your character, and mix and match them. So for example, you can unlock Isagi's direct shot and use that for your special shot, while at the same time unlocking Bachi's dribbling skills and using that for your weapon button. In addition to story mode, you can also play matches against friends or AI, online or offline, where you're able to build your own team of any players you wish besides Master Strikers. In order to play as Master Strikers, you have to turn on the Master Striker system, which is simply a toggle on and off before starting the match. With this, you can choose a Master Striker for your team. They'll function exactly the same way as it does in the manga. You can substitute in your Master Striker who will have stats far above standard playable characters, but you can only sub them in once during the game and for 3 minutes at that. Now that we've covered how the game plays and how you can play the game, let's cover who you can play the game with. The character roster will be huge and will include almost every character named in Blue Lock. However, because some characters are just straight up NPCs in the show and manga, some characters won't have specific weapons. In terms of Blue Lockers, we have Isagi, Kira, Bachira, Chigiri, Kunigami, Raichi, Goatmaru, Monk, Naruhaya, Kuon, Lemon, Imamura, Nico, Okawa, Baro, both Wanama brothers, Zantetsu, Reo, Nagi, Shido, Rin, Ryu, Tokimitsu, Karasu, Otoya, Aomori's Messi, Yukimiya, Kaiora, Nanase, Corona, and Hayori. For U20 players, we have Gen Fukaku, Hayate, Wakatsuki, Neo, Cho, Darai, Sendo, Aiku, Niro, Kitsunezaro, and Sei. Next up, we have NEL players by team, starting with Bastard München. Ness, Kaiser, Ali, Bachmann, Grimm, Birkenstock, Gessner, Schneider, Mensa, Daye, and Sox. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. Next is FC Barcha with Lara, Ruiz, Picasso, Espesso, So, Bose, Gomez, Urazes, and Moro. Third NEL team is Manshine City with Augie, Driver, Swift, Bubsy, Rook, Young, Arthur, and Damon. The final NEL team is Ubers with Lorenzo, Canali, Perron, Drago, Abdi, and Rico. The final group of playable characters will be extras who didn't fit onto any team, those being Tara-chan and Henri. Don't ask me how Henri will play, she just will. Now you might have noticed that I didn't list the Master Strikers, so let me do that now. Noel Noah, Chris Prince, Lavenho, Snuffy, and Julian Loki. I'm also going to throw in the World 5 as Master Strikers as well, those being Adam Blake, Dada Silva, Leonardo Luna, and Pablo Cavazos. According to my calculations, that makes 80 players and 9 Master Strikers for a grand total of 89 playable characters. There's not really much else to talk about regarding the game. It would utilize 3D cel-shaded graphics like the Captain Tsubasa game, but the art style would become much more jagged and dark when using Ego and when performing special shots. The game would release on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC, as it would be on par with next-gen titles. That's gonna be it for today's game concept. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know how you would make a Blue Lock game in the comments below. Bye!